Today is November 1st, 2021, the month of Black Friday, and if you haven't started thinking about your Black Friday strategy yet, it's not too late, but it will be too late very soon. Black Friday is an amazing time to drive huge sales numbers that more than make up for the lower price point that your users are going to be paying. But to find success with Black Friday, you first need to understand how to execute on it. So today, we're going deep in this. We're going to talk about your overall strategy, what channels to advertise on, and how to succeed on each of those channels. My name is Trent Kennelly. I'm a marketing strategist, and on this channel, I talk about all the things that you can do to improve your business through marketing, sales, and analytics. So if that sounds good to you and you're excited, make sure that you like this video, subscribe to my channel if you're into it, comment to let me know what your plans are for Black Friday, how you're planning on advertising your sale, what you're doing to get your word out there. I would love to know and to help you improve it any way I can. But until then, let's get started. All right, let's talk about your overall strategy. So this is more of a shotgun approach than you normally have during the year. So most of the time I tell you to find your target, find your niche, focus on that niche to advertise your product or your service, but you can go a little more shotgun here. So unlike at any other time of the year, everybody is in it for one thing. They want to pay money for products and services because they know that this is the time of the year when they're gonna get the best deals and the highest discounts. So this also means that people don't have to be sold to as hard. It's really just about finding the best deal. So you don't have to work as hard to make that sale. It just means that you have to figure out how to get your message out and come above the noise of everybody else. That's the real focus here. Now we'll get into the strategies for each of those big channels in a minute, but the biggest thing here is really to decide on what your compelling offer is. Because even though people are in a buying mood and that makes it easier for them to decide to purchase from you, you don't have to work on the sales process as much, they still have to pick your product over someone else's. There are thousands of things on offer and every buyer has limited powers of consumption, meaning they have limited amounts of money to spend during this period of time. So even though convincing people who are interested isn't as difficult when they're looking at you, you still have to get them to pick you over another product or service. This is why the choice of a discount is so important here. So what should you pick for a discount? Well, you can go a little deeper than normal here. So if you watch this channel, you know I usually tell you not to provide deep discounts, meaning anything that's 30% or above, because it tends to have harmful effects on your brand, namely brand dilution, where people start to value your products and services at 30% or 40% less because you're always offering those very deep discounts. But in the specific situation of Black Friday sales, you can feel free to go as high as a 40% discount. Now, I know that that sounds like a deep discount, but the goal here isn't to get a few sales at the normal price, it's to get 10 times the sales at a lower price point than you would normally offer. But I also want to caution you here, don't go too low on your discount. Remember that the ecosystem here is that everybody is looking for discounts. There is a sea of discounts for this short period of time. So if you have a 10% discount, it just isn't going to stand out. The last thing to talk about with the general overall strategy is how long you're going to keep your Black Friday sale going from win to win. Many companies are going to start this sale up to a week before Black Friday itself, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it also takes away some of that urgency that people feel on Black Friday itself. Now, that said, people really tend to get into gear with purchasing on Black Friday anyway. It just tends to be early birds before that. So you do, one way or another, get kind of a trickle beforehand that turns into a boom on Black Friday. But if you're starting early, there's just a little less urgency there. I suggest starting your promotion on the Wednesday before Black Friday. So the idea here is that if you're targeting the US, for instance, and you announce on Thursday, everybody is going to be with their family because it's Thanksgiving and they're likely to ignore the message in the first place. If you announce on Friday, you could be drowned out by the noise of everyone else announcing their Black Friday sales on Friday. Wednesday is close enough to the event to get a few early birds, for people to remember you, and to allow you to start to imprint your offer in the minds of the buyers who are going to take advantage of Black Friday right after Thanksgiving is over. Now, once you've started the sale, the earliest that you should end it is Tuesday the following week. After Black Friday, don't forget, comes Cyber Monday, which is the biggest online sales day of the year. But also keep in mind that in many ways, Black Friday is just the kickoff to buying season, which lasts the entire month of December. So while I wouldn't keep the discount the entire time, the entire Christmas season, Having it for a week or 2 weeks, maybe 2.5 weeks, is a very good amount of time to drive a good level of sales. If you're worried about the discount that you put out there, you can always cut it off a little bit early. If you are really getting a lot of sales, you can always extend that discount period a little bit longer. So once you've settled on the right offer and timing, the next question is where you're gonna advertise, other than obviously your website, which is going to be doing a lot of sales anyway. There are 3 channels that will lend themselves most often and easily to Black Friday advertising. We're talking about organic social media, paid ads, and email. All 3 of these channels are best because they have a direct outreach method to the consumer, unlike something like SEO, which is designed for inbound sales, for people to come to your website because they've discovered you on Google, which is a little bit more of a passive method that it takes a lot of time to implement. This is an outreach method. You are directly speaking to people so that they will come to you when you specifically ask them to do that. So let's talk more specifically about what you need to do for each of these 3 channels: organic, social, paid ads, and email. Now first, let's talk about organic social media. So theoretically, you're spending some amount of time building a social media following. And if you're not, you absolutely should be doing that. Now maybe that's through Twitter or YouTube or something like that. Whatever channel you're working on, you undoubtedly have a few people at least that hang on to your every word. Maybe most of them don't own one of your products or services, that's okay. The fact that they're on your feed and you are there talking about your product or service and your discount and what you have to offer for Black Friday in a place that they frequent can really help bolster sales in this period. So the strategy here is simple. In the days leading up to the launch of your sale, you just start talking about it. When your followers hear about the sale, they may first dismiss it or ignore it, but keep it going starting from about a week before the sale starts. And the intensity should be pretty light at first and then increase over that week to get people more and more excited as it gets closer. What you're gonna see is that as you close in on Black Friday, the customer base's mindset starts to shift. It goes from people not really thinking about Black Friday much to thinking about it more and more. It goes from dismissive to excited that you're making such a generous offer. And because you've been talking about it on those organic channels, you are in a prime position to capitalize on that added excitement because you are at the top of people's minds. Next, let's talk about paid ads. So paid ads are great for reaching audiences that aren't as committed to following your every word, who aren't as familiar with you, who might not really even know who you are, but who are well targeted to being willing to buy your product or service. Now, this all assumes that you did target well. You don't want to be selling dog food and targeting cat lovers. You're not going to get a lot of connection between the audience you're targeting and the product you're offering, so not many people are going to buy. But a big difference between paid ads and organic social media is that you don't want to advertise a sale to a paid ad audience until that sale is live. You don't want to put up an ad that says, hey, there's a 30% off discount that people then click on and then they go to the site and then the 30% discount isn't ready for another 3 days. That's a bad user experience. They have to click on something that they then don't get offered. They're not going to want to come back and try it again, even if it is Black Friday, and you've just spent money for absolutely no reason. So you don't want to do that. That's a bad user experience and it's a bad seller experience. Now, there are 2 main tactics you can take advantage of for Black Friday paid ads. One is to get them to sign up to a list, or 2 is to only launch on the day your sale starts. So launching on the day your sale starts is pretty straightforward. You just don't launch your ads until your sale is started. But just keep in mind here that the big risk with this strategy is that your ads won't be optimized in time. So just to clarify what I mean, one of the most important things that you need to do with your ads is ensure that they are reaching your ideal audience, that the most people who are seeing it are going to be interested as possible. This is referred to as ad optimization. And most social media platforms will take the ad options that you've given them, so what target you're looking for, the interest that the person has, what actions they've taken over the last few days, and it'll take possibly up to 7 days to find the right audience. There's lots of different things that go into finding that audience ad relevancy, to find that match, and it takes time to get there. It could be 7 days, it could be 28. This targeting issue is actually why a bunch of companies have decided to start their Black Friday sales a little bit early. This and several other things. It allows people to be targeted properly and optimize their ads before the period of really high spending on Black Friday itself truly begins. But the other way that you can do this, the list, effectively negates a lot of these launch day problems. So here's how it works. You submit an ad up to a week before your sale starts. That ad tells people about the sale and asks them to be signed up to be notified when it starts. When they click, they're sent to a form to fill out so that they get their email sent to them on the day. And all you're gonna do at that point is send them an email that says, hey, the sale has started, and it'll go into your email series, which we're gonna get into right after this section. So I just wanna point out here, depending on where you are in the world, who you're marketing to, you may need to send a double opt-in at this point. You can just check out this video for more information on that. And speaking of email, let's jump into that final leg of the strategy. So the most important thing to remember about email is that the audience is mostly warm already, meaning that those who get Black Friday emails are more likely to engage than other groups. But does that mean that you should expect an open rate anywhere near perfect? Absolutely not. I honestly wouldn't expect open rates any higher than normal for the most part. 30 to 45% of people who are sent this email should be expected to open it. Though in some situations, depending on who you are and how tight-knit your audience is, you might see 65% open rates, but that's not normally the case, okay? What I would more often want to see is a higher click-through rate. So in most situations, most of the year, you see a 2.5 to 5% click-through rate. Here I would want to see a 10% or a 15% click-through rate if your offer is good enough. So when and how should we send these emails? So first, let's talk about the list itself. You're about to send an email that should be driving higher sales than normal, which means that you want to make sure it's getting to everyone possible who's going to be most engaged here. We're going to stretch the rules a bit to make that happen. Normally, I would tell you not to send to people who haven't opened the last 3 to 5 emails and who didn't respond to any kind of a win-back campaign. But if you've been following that rule, you should have a fairly good amount of email reputation, a good email sending score. You've built that reputation, honestly, sometimes, so that you can stretch it a little bit when it matters. And right now is when it matters. So you're gonna send 8 emails in a very short period to everyone who has shown any potential interest in purchasing and is still subscribed to your list. You're gonna send the first email 3 days before the sale, your second email the day before, the third in the morning on sale day, the fourth in the afternoon on the same day, the first day of the sale, the fifth the day after, the sixth up to 3 days after the sale starts, so that would be 2 days after the last email, and the final 2 on the last day of the sale, that being morning and night on the final day of the sale. And by spacing it out this way, you're reminding people in the middle, you're creating urgency in the beginning and the ending, so it's kind of this urgency sandwich where you get people to see the importance and really be interested in taking advantage of this sale during that sale period. So as we wrap up this video, I just want to say that it is very important that you map this out. So write down your plan, get your resources together, and start putting this together today. This month is going by faster than you realize, and if you don't act fast, you're gonna miss it. So I hope that this video was helpful for you to organize that and start figuring out how you're gonna execute. Let me know your plans for Black Friday and how you plan to advertise your sale. Otherwise, make sure that you like this video, subscribe to my channel if you're into it, and I'll catch you in the next one.